Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. And I'm absolutely delighted to say in this edition, we'll be talking about Tottenham Hotspur win. Of course, before Spurs beat Crystal Palace 1-0, we only won 1 in 8 in the Premier League. But Spurs are back to winning ways. Spurs are up to 11th in the Premier League table. We're now only 7 points away from the top 4. But we are, of course, 7 points above 17th, where we finished last season under Ange Postecoglou. Now, we're live on YouTube, X and Facebook. Please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Spurs fan, and particularly let us know how you are feeling after that performance at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Spurs boss Thomas Frank has just come out and said, I like the desire and the character and the resilience of the team. You need to go to a very difficult away ground like this and show character. Now, as per usual, we've got 3 channel regulars with us. Craig Dearman is back with us. Craig, we'll get into the football in a minute. How are you? Did you have a nice Christmas break?
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Plenty of darts watching as well, so that's always good. But yeah, good to be back to winning ways, as you say. Absolutely. And also back with us is our good friend and actor, Ricky Norwood. Ricky, how are you?
I'm very well, gents. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to come. Great to be on with you beautiful people on the pod tonight. And great to be on after a win with all of you beautiful people around the world. So make sure you get involved. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Just get involved, man. Get involved. We've won a damn game in the Premier League. We're up to the heady heights of 11th right now. That's 2 1s. We don't just do one. We're not 2 1s. That's that's our, so come on, gang. let's turn this tide so that we can go into 2026 with something to hold on to, something to push off and something to build on. Come on.
Absolutely. We'll take any positive right now. And today was a positive. 3 points in the Premier League. Back to winning ways. Also back with us is Si the Fox. Si, how are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. I'm happy and well, and I'm kind of rejoicing in the fact that after today I've only got 20 more performances to watch. Because they're driving me up the wall at the moment. But a bit like Craig, loving the darts, loving the excitement of the darts, and it's a complete contrast to Tottenham Hotspur games at the moment for me. So, yeah, but love to all the Spurs family out there. We know we love you all.
Craig, let me start with you. Now, of course, the game ended Crystal Palace 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Archie Gray with the only goal of the game. Of course, his first goal in a Spurs shirt. Scored in the 42nd minute. It's worth mentioning as well that Richarlison had the ball in the net twice. Once in the first half, once in the second half. Both of them got chalked off by VAR. Now, let's go through the match stats and facts. Now, Crystal Palace, 62.1% of the ball to Tottenham's 37.9%. XG, Crystal Palace, 1.31 to Tottenham's 0.84. Crystal Palace had 15 shots on target, Crystal Palace 2, Tottenham Hotspur 4. Total touches inside the opposition box, Crystal Palace 35, Tottenham Hotspur 17. Goalkeeper saves, Palace 3, Spurs 2. Aerial duels 1, Crystal Palace 19, Spurs 26. Fouls committed, Crystal Palace 7, Spurs 5. And corners, the hosts had 3 to Tottenham Hotspur's 2. And as I've mentioned, Spurs are now up to 11th in the Premier League table, 25 points from 18 games. It is very, very tight in there at the moment. Craig, let's start the show with you. What did you make of today's performance and today's result?
As you said there, I mean, it's so tight in this league at the moment. Everybody's beating everybody else. And, well, talk about mid-table. As you said, 7 points off what is it, the top 4 or 5, you say, and then 7 points off at 17th where we finished last season. So we're probably about where we are. The league table don't lie at the end of the season, certainly, and halfway through the season it doesn't lie either. It has to make me laugh because Show Me Light, who's got a totally different opinion. I'll just put it on the screen. I'm here for Craig. Call it a scrappy performance to say he still doesn't think Frank fits Spurs. Probably about right, actually. I don't, but I thought that was it was certainly a better battling performance. It wasn't a pretty game at all. Spurs came out as victors, as we know. I thought in the first half I thought Palace were quite unlucky on occasions. I thought they did create a fair bit more than us, but we managed to nick that goal. Really pleased for Archie Gray. I thought Kevin Danzo at the back played exceptionally well today. Vicario, to be fair, actually didn't have that many saves to make. Palace, I think, died towards the end, probably as a result of playing so many games in such a short period of time as well. That has now their squad is not massive, but we just got the job done today. I think that's all you can say. It's just a much needed 3 points away from home. Good away form continues. Yes, we've had a couple of dodgy results away from home late, but on the whole, our away form's been pretty good. So I think it's important just to end in 2025 with 3 points. It was much needed today because, let's face it, if we'd lost today, we wouldn't have. I suppose Leeds not getting anything or getting a point. Actually, they could have. I think they could have gone above us. So it was important we got the 3 points, like I say. But mid-table Spurs, we're finishing the year. Just hope for better things in 2026.
Craig, it's fair to say that Thomas Frank needed this win, and the pictures that we're showing now on screen, Thomas Frank looked absolutely delighted at the final whistle that we actually got the 3 points because, as I mentioned in the opening there, before this game, 1 win in 8 in the Premier League. We have been slipping down that Premier League table. How important is this win for the club, but most importantly, Thomas Frank and his position?
It's very important. I wouldn't say you're getting towards that must win, but Thomas Frank probably feels like it was a must win game today because there'd be a lot more pressure heaped on him if we didn't win that. I think Palace were, I wouldn't say there for the taking today, but you could see that was a leggy team today, but we needed to somehow get a win today. The performance, as I say, wasn't brilliant. The football wasn't brilliant. The football hasn't been brilliant for the last few weeks. We all know that. You can't continue to play like that and expect to win games. But today was just all about the result, I think, and getting those 3 points on the board. It's quite clear, though, that we still need to bring in reinforcements in January. I think that's clear for everybody to see. I don't think there's anybody that disagrees with that. So, again, I just hope that Enid put the money where their mouth is and support the manager and get some players through the door because we still clearly need them. Saying that, I thought Odegaard came on and made a real difference today. Even Johnson came on very direct. I think Kudos has gone off the boil a fair bit, even though you could say he had moments in the game. Odegaard for me really good when he came on.
Ricky, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's win and. Like I said to Craig there, it was so important to get the win today because we have been slipping down that Premier League table. Although we are 11th at the moment, it is, I believe, a positive to say now that we are 7 points away from the top 4. I don't know what people's expectation is of this season. I suppose the expectations are going to be different amongst us all and, everyone watching and listening. But, mid-table, today's win was very important, particularly for Thomas Frank.
Massively important, my friend, and massively to go into the end of the year with those 3 points. I think it's really important for us to be on as much as a positive as we can going into January for, like Craig was talking there about, hopefully getting a couple of high-profile ones through the door. You don't want to go into January on a continued losing streak and, in a relegation battle. So it was really positive to get those 3 points today. Dragoshin coming back today and getting 10, 20 minutes. That was another positive today. Archie Gray growing into that midfield role. and getting the goal. Another positive today. So, and Richie, I think I might have to continue to slag him off a little bit, or kind of, do you know what I mean? Not believe him because he tends to pick up a little bit more energy when I end up doing that. And, he was unlucky today. 2 goals, like you say, he chalked off for offside, but he did actually have a third attempt, Chris, which would have been offside as well. And then we would have had another record-breaking striker who would have had 3 offside goals, a hat-trick of offside goals, We go from a striker that's, trying to break Alan Shearer's Premier League goal-scoring record, and then we go to a striker that potentially could have had a hat-trick of offside goals. But look, there were some positives today, and I'm trying to focus on these positives. I'm trying to really highlight them, but I feel very much like Craig when it comes down to the game and what we saw there, and the quality of football. And I felt that we was ran through way too many times. I think that's a great word, unlucky. I think Palace were unlucky to come out losers, let alone get anything out of the game. I think they were unlucky to come out losers. They got through us many a time, and but you know what? We needed to again stop this rot and give Thomas a platform to build on, and hopefully this does that. Hopefully this does that going into January. Hopefully, he can start showing us all what he's about and what this team's about. But I've kind of got to this balance, Chris, and I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I've kind of got to this place where I almost see Thomas Frank as the caretaker manager now. So it's like he's going to look after us until the end of the season. And then, because when it comes down to the football and the tactics and the way that we go about not losing a game, I don't think we've gone into a game to win it, in a long while. But to not lose a game is it just sucks your life out of your soul a little bit. And I always know a good indicator is when the game itself feels like it's 4 hours long and I've looked up and 24 minutes have gone. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, look, bumps in the road, but fingers crossed that this, at the end of the year, gives them the turn that they need going into 2026. It's a new year, it's a new day, it's a new dawn. Potentially some high-profile signings coming into the club, and let's see where they can kick on to.
Ricky, with the attack in play, I felt that we were much better today rather than in some of the previous games, certainly. And talking about the positives, you're one of the most positive people I know, not just on this podcast, but in life in general. What positives would you take from today? Because I think it's very fair to say, I say this a lot, and I believe that some of you guys say it as well, that week by week, it's very important that we do see positives from this Thomas Frank side. When Spurs made that change from Ange Postecoglou to Thomas Frank, it's very important, I believe, when you've made a managerial change, particularly when you've just won a trophy and then sacked the manager, you've got to see positive signs week by week. Yeah. Are you seeing enough positive signs? Did you see enough positive signs in today's game to give you that belief that it can work? Because when you think about that last, say, 15 minutes of the Liverpool game, a lot of people come away from that game going, well, actually, we were unlucky and we really did give it a go because a lot of Spurs fans, I think most Spurs fans, just want us to give it a go. But did you see enough positives from today to make you believe that we will be successful under Thomas Frank?
That's really tough, Chris. I have got to the point where, look, there were some positive things about the attacking play. Now, when Odegaard did come on, I wanted us to go with an out-and-out winger today. I would have loved Tell to have started. I just felt it was one of those games that I feel that, play him on the left side. Let's give him a go. We've rotated on the left side a lot recently. And I would have liked Tell or Odegaard to start today. Just because they are tricky and they are pacey, and with the wing backs that Crystal Palace had, it would have been great to just keep them pushing backwards and give them more things to worry about. So when Odegaard did come onto the field, you saw that electricity, you saw a lot of pace, you saw a lot of trickery, and he was unlucky not to score as well tonight. He hit the post, didn't he? With a really good strike. So you can see that there's elements within him. You know, today, to be fair to Richie, there was a lot of good things that he done, holding up the ball, and again, running within rhythm, which is always good to see. It looks like Frank is trying to play Colo on the left and Richie up front to give us 2 focal points and give us 2 threats. I don't think we're using him in the right way as yet, but we have seen them 2 link up, so you can see what he's trying to do there. I still feel that we're playing too many balls into Kudus, or relying on Kudus a little bit too much. And when you do that, inevitably he's going to get doubled up on or tripled up on and lose the ball. So they've still got things to tweak. But seeing our young ones come through, you know, Archie Gray and Lucas Bergwall. Bergwall was doing some really nice forward passing, some really nice flicks to get something going. And he always looks to get something going. He is always overlapping, and hopefully his injury isn't that bad. But seeing Archie Gray grow as well, week in, week out, these are positive highlights. But when it comes down to belief, Chris, we're past Christmas, and I still don't know what a Thomas Frank ball side is. You know, when I look at the football and when I look at what we're doing, the only way I can describe it is almost relegation football, and as if we're a League One side going up against prime Barcelona. It feels like that. It feels like we're hanging on. It feels like, you know, it takes a Captain Romero to come and rescue the day, or an individual to rescue the day, and then, you know, and then we've fallen off cliffs left, right, and centre, but then we've picked ourselves back up. And so it is a really tough roller coaster for me right now. But I can't say that I believe in Thomas Frank. I can't say that, bro, because he's given me nothing to say that I believe in what he's doing, or I believe in the direction that he's going. I hope that it does click, and I hope that I do start seeing the positive signs that Frank was brought into this club to do, you know. So I hope for a result, and I hope for a win, bro. But I don't right now. I don't believe in Thomas Frank or what's coming to the table. But I'm trying, like I say, I'm trying to put them sunglasses on, where it's like he's the caretaker. Let me just calm down. Because it starts giving me high blood pressure, bro. So I'm like, okay, let me kind of put it into my mind state that he's a caretaker. Let's see what happens. If it goes well, fantastic. We can sign him at the end of the season. If it doesn't, well, then see you later. And that's the only thing that's keeping me calm with it. But I want to be positive about him, and I want to be positive about the boys, because I'm fed up of moaning. Do you know what I mean? I'm fed up of moaning. I want to put out positivity and the good things that Tottenham are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you that I think a lot of people need convincing, me included, actually, with Thomas Frank. But, you know, like I've always said on every single podcast that we've recorded this season, we've got to see signs of positivity week by week. Si, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's win.
I'm a bit like Ricky. I'm struggling to find reasons to be cheerful. Part 3, as the song goes, but you know, I suppose a clean sheet's good. Although they ran through us a bit.
Come on, can I just remind you 3? We did win today.
Yeah, I was gonna. I'm trying to find reasons. So although Palace ran through us a bit, I didn't think we really ever looked like conceding anything. So I suppose from that perspective, it was decent stability at the back, and we very rarely look troubled. You know, in any game, every team's going to get a chance. I was impressed with Odegaard when he came on, and you know, there were some decent performances from the defenders. But one thing I've got to say, I'm struggling to think of a Spurs team that were worse in possession than we are at the moment. And that's where I struggle with what Thomas Frank is doing at the moment. I think we are, you know, Ricky was saying we don't have an identity. Well, I think we are getting one, because when we go away from home at the moment, we're set piece FC. We want to keep it tight, get ourselves 1-0 up, and then strangle the life out of the opposition once we've got ourselves into a lead from a set piece. And I heard a stat today, we've got a third of our goals have come from set pieces. And I think that kind of sums up the problems that we're having as a club, that whenever we go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we have to do ram down our throat every 5 minutes, and and all the signage around the pitch and up in the stadium, and we're not really achieving that, are we? Let's be honest about it. But coming back to it, 3 points is always good. A clean sheet is always good, but you have to break it down into the elements that make it up. Look, but for the stupidity of some players who were looking along a line and still got themselves offside, and Odebear hitting the post, we could have come away with a 4-0 win. Would that have made it any better? Probably not, because watching it is, for me, is just painful. I want any Tottenham manager to succeed, but I suppose, I'm an old fart and I've been brought up on the fact that the quality of the football is, as important as the win. And I go back to, the legendary Bill Nick. The game is about glory. And if you want to coin another phrase, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this before the watershed, but we are inglorious bastards at the moment, because what we're doing is very attritional. So, look, I'm happy with the 3 points. I'm happy with the defensive solidity, because I don't think Palace caused us that many problems. But other than that, I can't take too many positives out of the game and successes forward to the next one. So, that's kind of where I sit on it at the moment.
Where are you on the Thomas Frank debate, Si? Do you think that Thomas Frank can turn this around and make a lot of Tottenham fans be quiet at the end of the season by producing the goods that we thought we were going to get in the first place?
I think he can, but he needs the tools to do the job. I'm a boring fart going on about what's wrong with our squad and being imbalanced, and the left-footed, left-sided players, quite frankly, an embarrassment. I saw Vicario flapping his arms at Jed Spence today, saying to knock it down the line, but Jed can't do that because he's not a left-footed player in the same way that Pedro Porro and Mickey van der Ven could on their sides. But I still go back to the Thomas Frank that was at Brentford. The football was progressive football. You can't deny it, whether you call it counter-attacking or whether you call it transition football. He did get it right, and Brentford scored a lot of goals last season particularly, and always had. So he's got it in him to get him right. I just don't think he's got the players at the moment to play the style of football that he would want to play. Excuse me. And I think that's the imbalance of the squad we've got at the moment. Can we go away and pinch results like this every now and again? Yeah, of course we can. We'll probably do it again against Brentford. I think we'll struggle. We'll have more of a struggle with Sunderland than we will Brentford, because we're not expected to go to Brentford and take the game to them. Sunderland are a different kettle of fish, but that's further down the line. But for me, I just think if we got the recruitment right and had the players that can, if his way of playing is transitional football, then we have to give him players that can play that, and I don't think we have that at the moment. That's where I sit. And also, one thing I would say, in fairness to him today, is that without a Xavi or the players that we've had in that position before, we don't have the creative hub around the number 10 position to create chances for the players that we've got. So, I think it's a bit of a dichotomy at the moment. As can he do it? Probably. Will he do it? Don't know. Will the club back him with the players that he wants? I don't know either.
Before we talk about the game itself, let's hear now from Spurs boss Thomas Frank on our 1-0 win.
Ooh.
Thomas, well done. 1-0 here at Sellers Park. Never easy place to come. And look, they've delivered everything you wanted from them, haven't they, today?
Yeah, I think very happy with the desire and the mentality and the character in the team. I think classic game where desire beat details. So to come here and win 1-0 away from home, difficult place, good Crystal Palace team. I love the discipline in the team. I think we gave basically not any big transitions away to them, which is one of their biggest threats. So I like how we managed to get in the good position, rest defending, and also hang in there throughout the game. And you achieve nothing if you can't get wins like this. And this is something I'm very happy with in terms of resilience. It was not a perfect performance, but by far not at all. But the desire, the effort, character, all that, you need to be a good team. That was a very good foundation today, which I'm very pleased with.
And it's a clean sheet, and you're up against someone like Mateta, and the Lerma's long throws are coming in the corner. Wharton's got such a great delivery. Kevin Danso's underneath it. You know, we're clearing everything. We're on the second balls. That's how you keep a clean sheet here, isn't it?
That is how you keep a clean sheet, definitely. I think in open play, I think maybe we only gave one chance away when it went to the back post and it got back in and they had a shot. The rest was set piece, as you say, where we defended very well. Sometimes we need to get the body on the line, need to get the good clearance in, blocks. So the defensive mindset was great today, and which we need.
Now you talk about characters. Archie a couple of weeks ago at Forest, and today's the match winner. There you go. That's football, isn't it?
Yeah. He shows a lot of resilience, that young man. It hasn't been an easy first season for him in Spurs. And this season also, it hasn't been straightforward. So for him, keep going. Shows he's made of the right character material we need here at Spurs for players that can be very good for us both now and in the future.
Feels like a big win, Thomas, and gives us a few days to prepare for. Now, I think this is game round the corner. Brentford, is it?
Yeah, that's a very good win. We have 3 days to prepare. I like that a lot, and of course that game, the first one was special. This will be even more special for me personally. Of course, I was there almost 9 years, so that'll be very special.
Craig, let's come to you on Thomas Frank's comments there about winning at Crystal Palace, and even the interviewer there, Paul Miles, said it's such a big win. It felt like such a big win. Should Crystal Palace away feel like such a big win? And I say that with the deepest of respect.
Sorry, I think it was a big win because of the situation we find ourselves in at the moment. It was just one of those games where we probably getting the 3 points was better than the performance, to be honest. I think Jim said in the comments earlier he'd rather get an ugly win than a pretty loss. I think that's probably a good way of putting it, actually. He's going to be feeling the pressure. Surely he must know that the fans don't like this type of football. I mean, the thing is, we're hoofing it long so much. I'm all for getting the ball out of harm's way. Absolutely. It was actually, excuse me, critical under Ange Postecoglou when we kept continuing to play out the back when a lot of us were saying, just get rid of it. We seem to be just doing that and hoofing it a lot more than that I'd like to see us do, to be honest with you. I'd rather see us get the ball down and play a bit more. But ultimately, we got the 3 points today, so he's going to feel the pressure's been taken off a little bit. And regardless of the performance, the most important thing was the 3 points today. And Crystal Palace weren't that good today, although I thought they actually played some pretty good football in spells. Some good passing through the middle. I thought they did tear us open, actually, a fair bit today, but just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. I think that Mateta could be an absolute animal under the right coach, and Oliver Glasner seems to have got him playing well. Hasn't scored a lot of goals lately, but I think he's got something about him. I wouldn't mind seeing Spurs put in a cheeky bid for Mateta, actually.
Ricky, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11 today, because, of course, Thomas Frank was forced into a couple of changes, following on from the 2 red cards at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last week. Romero and Javi Simmons both missing out today. The starting 11 was as follows: Vicario, Danso, Richarlison, Gray, Bergvall, Kudus, Pedro Porro, Spence, Bentancur, Van de Ven, and Mawani in number order. I know you guys don't like that, but apologies. This is how it is. Subs today: Kinski, Radu Dragushin, Polinia, Tell, Johnson. Kota Dekai was in the squad today, Selhurst Park, as well as Odebear, Davis, and Scarlett. Any surprises there for you? Because, you know, how many times have I said on this podcast, you know, this season, that it's quite difficult to read and predict a Thomas Frank starting 11. Do you feel like you're getting closer now?
What kinda. Like you said there, with the absentees of Romero and Xavi, you could probably work it out. The only question would have been, is he going to go Bentancur Paulinho or Bentancur Gray? But since Gray's been doing well the last couple of games, you would have hoped that he would have kept Gray. So he done that, and he built on that. Like I say, what I would have loved to have seen is Tell or Odebear start today on that left wing, because like we do need to sort it out. You know, I like Colo as a striker, and if that means him coming off the bench to affect it or to whatever the case may be, but I would have liked a fast, tricky, pacey winger on that left-hand side just to trouble Crystal Palace a little bit more. That's the only thing that I would say about the starting lineup, Chris. But it was really good to see Dragishin back on the bench, and you know, we haven't seen Takai at all, so good to see him on the bench too.
Si, any thoughts on the starting 11? And I know we're going to get to it, but of course Bergvall went off injured. Hopefully he won't be out for too long, but of course we'll find out more in Thomas Frank's next presser.
Yeah, I don't think he could go with much else really. I'm probably with Rick on this one, that I would have liked to have seen Odebear on the left, and then make a decision about Kalumani and Richarlison. I just think it balances the side better, as it showed probably. And you know the stats where it shows the momentum in the game. When Odebear came on, Spurs' momentum was better because we had outlets on the left and the right, instead of just trying to funnel it all through Kudus. So I don't think he could have done much else. I hope Bergvall isn't injured. That would be like another dagger through the heart, just in terms of numbers at the moment, especially with Sarr away at AFCON. So fingers crossed for the best for him. But yeah, I don't think he could have done much different with that, other than, you know, perhaps been a bit more aggressive by playing a Tell or Odebear to start the game. I'll be interested to see what he does on away at Brentford, because I would have thought that one of them would have come in, but we'll see.
Craig, anything to add?
No, I think the lads have summed it up brilliantly there, to be honest with you. The number order, absolutely hate that, to be honest, because it takes about 5 minutes to work out who's playing where. But the only thing I would say is I was a bit surprised Paulinho didn't get a start in the middle instead of Bentancur. I don't know what's happened there with Paulinho. Perhaps Frank doesn't rate him at the moment for some reason or another. But I'd have liked to have seen Paulinho in there. But having said that, I don't think Bentancur was terrible today. But as Ricky said, Odebear, when he came on, I thought he really did make a difference. Some players just look better when they come on as sub, don't they? Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back in the day was always better as a sub. So perhaps that's perhaps you could say the same about Odebear, because he has come on in a few games this season and looked really good. But then again, he's probably a different type of player to the one he's replacing. So, but just being a bit more direct, that's what we want to see.
Craig, on João Palhinha, do you think that Spurs will actually sign him on a permanent deal at the end of the season?
If you'd said that to me after 10 games, I'd probably said yes. You've got to do it for the price. But you know, he just hasn't been starting games of late, has he? So whatever reason that is, I don't know whether because of the sheer number of games and because of his age, does Frank think he can't play that many games? But then again, he hasn't been coming in. You know, he might have missed 2 or 3 games in a row where he hasn't been starting. So I don't know. I really don't know. They're obviously trying to get Archie Gray in that sort of number 6 role as well. Obviously, gets around the pitch a bit more. But Paulinho's tackling alone. I'm just surprised sometimes that he doesn't doesn't get a start because I know he can be a bit one-dimensional, but I think there's certain games where there's definitely a shout that he should be starting, definitely.
Ricky, let's come to you. Many people actually sent me the photograph of Fabio Paratici sitting there with Vinay Venkatesham at Selhurst Park. I didn't actually see them inside the stadium. I couldn't work out where they were. There's been lots of reports in the last couple of days that, including from Fabrizio Romano last night, that Fabio Paratici is just about to join Fiorentina to become their director of football at the Italian club. What do you make of this possible departure of somebody who is in charge of our transfers, certainly the incomings, just days before the January transfer window is about to start?
I think it's a crazy decision. I think it makes no sense to me. He's just re-signed. Yes, he's been consulting Paratici, but he just re-signed after the summer window was shut. And then you're going to tell me before the January window even opens, he's going to be off to another team. Screams of some disarray happening behind the scenes. Maybe him and Langer are not getting on. Maybe him and Frank are not getting on. Obviously he's compatriot in Daniel Levy, who loved Paratici. He chased him for 10 years, didn't he? So maybe him not being there, the role has changed and has shifted. But I would have thought that when Vinay and the club re-signed Paratici, they would have had these discussions with him. And it's not like he's gone away for 3 years and then just suddenly turned back up and gone, all right, I'll clock in. He's been consulting in and around the building since he quote unquote left, but never left. The guy never left. So it's not like he didn't get all the information that he needed when it came down to working as a partnership with Langer or working with Thomas Frank. So it screams a bit of disarray or a power imbalance or somebody's hurt their feelings. But and again, like you say, there was that video of him and Langer talking about the dual role and talking about what areas they were going to concentrate on. So what does that? It all goes out of the window a couple of days before January. Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. You would at least go into January with all of that hard work, supposedly up until this point, of your plans and your targets and who's picking up the phone to speak to which agent and get what player in. That's all been sorted out already. But now, a couple of days before it's going to go out the window. I don't know. Something's gone on there. I mean, it's a great opportunity for Paratici to get back to Italy and have control over the club. I know Fiorentina are flirting with relegation over there, but he's got a chance to put his fingerprints on the club wholeheartedly, from top to bottom, and he's not going to get that at Tottenham. So if he does go, good luck, and thanks for what you did bring to the table. But it just makes no sense to me. I don't know whether this is people that are fleeing a sinking ship, or that it's just gone in the arguments and negative energy floating in and around the club, or something to do with a conspiracy in it. And I don't want to start any, but it sounds like science. But it's the same with Matty Wells. I think Matty Wells is a tremendous coach, and I think there's a lot of potential there. And I'm happy that he's gone to kind of start his managerial reign. But what's that going to do at Tottenham? We're missing a coach now. Are we going to bring one in? But Wellesley knew the Tottenham way. And, even when he spoke, as a manager, you could feel he knew what the Tottenham way was, just in the way he spoke about attacking. So has there been a little conflict there amongst the coaches? And then he goes out and we bring a Thomas Frank one in, which might be positive for Thomas Frank, but will it be positive for Tottenham Hotspur and the players on the field? I don't know yet, but it's highly questionable that it's being like Paratici is being allowed to go at this point. Screens of panic stations again, Chris.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think that would be extremely frustrating and disappointing if that is the case. Watch this space, watch the next couple of days. Let's see and look out for official announcements if one does come.
Chris, can I add a point on that? And that is, it's around the guy that we're courting from Man City, Rafa Mawson. He's been in charge of contracts and negotiations at Man City. So if he's coming in, that's another thing that will be taken away from Paratici. And I think the reason he's going is he wants to be the head honcho, make all the decisions, live or die by the sword. And he, as Ricky said, he can't do that at Tottenham. And I think that's what the unrest is over, because Spurs' scar tissue at the moment is one bloke making all the decisions for 24, 25 years hasn't really worked out in sporting success for the club. So they don't want to get themselves back in that position. So I think that plays a part in it as well.
Makes sense.
I feel like, though, Si, if Fabio ends up leaving, a couple of days before the January transfer window opens, I feel like it will be a little bit embarrassing for the club, particularly that it was only a couple of months ago that, you had Johan Langer, Fabio sitting on the sofa, Vinar Venkatesham telling us all as fans how, this is really going to work and it's so much better having two sporting directors. It was hugely positive. And then, for this to fall apart, if you like, after a couple of months, it's embarrassing, isn't it?
It is embarrassing. I can't disagree with that. But until they actually tried working together, you were never gonna know whether there was going to be any synergy between them. And then, as I understand it, this is only from third parties. I know some people that deal with finance with Spurs, that Langer and Thomas Frank, obviously because of their nationality, are quite close with each other, and Paratici isn't. And as I understand it, there's some players being suggested by him that Langer and Frank have shut down. So, I think it is playground rules. Also, it's embarrassing for Vinay because he was in the club from the start of the year, and I don't think in any organisation, I can't think of any other organisation where you have two people doing the same role allegedly. I've never come across it myself. It's a bit like in business for me having two managing directors of the same company. Never going to work. Not a chance. Not going to happen for all the reasons we've said. One thing I would say as well, though, in defence of Spurs, is that if we're going into the January transfer window now, not knowing who our targets are and not knowing which list of 1, 2, 3, 4 players we've got for every position, that is more of an embarrassment than the fact that the sporting director goes because he wants to plough his own furrow. Because for every position, we should have target 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you just go down the list and see who you can get. If we haven't done that in the 4 months since the last transfer window, then that is a real dereliction of duty, and that comes down to the whole of the management team, in my opinion.
Well, Thomas Frank has just been talking about the January transfer window. He said, of course, the window will open and we will be in the market to see if there is anything we can do, but it will have to be something where we can improve the team. If not, I would rather wait, but we will be out there. Can I just ask you all, before we talk about the game itself, can I just go around each one of you and ask, how confident are you that we are going to make vast improvements, impact players? And I agree with Thomas Frank to an extent. We need to improve the starting 11. We need ready-made players to walk straight into this team and make a real impact. And I'm sorry for being a bit of a broken record. I say that every single transfer window. Transfer windows to me are very important, that you have that impact, you bring in players that are going to make a real difference. So how confident are you?
I think we'll get one in. I couldn't tell you which position we'll get in, but I think we'll get one in, and I think there'll be a couple that go out. But I am on this. I'm probably with Ricky on this. I think we've got a caretaker manager till the summer, until the World Cup has happened, and a few managers that are managing at that tournament become available. So any players or multiple players that you bought now might not fit the system that future managers want to play. But if there is an opportunity, I think we should take it. I still think we're crying out for a left back and a left winger. I would solve that regardless of what's happening with the manager, but I just think we'll probably get one player if we're lucky.
I wonder what manager you're thinking about.
There you go. Yes, Nagelsmann.
Great.
I find myself absolutely agreeing with Si about everything you just said. I'm going to say two players, actually. I think they're going to be players that are probably going to be good. It would be interesting, and don't ask me what a Frank type player is, because I'm not entirely sure myself what that's going to look like. But they definitely need to strengthen in certain areas, and it is that left side they need to certainly look at. I don't think they're going to go for a goalkeeper unless somebody becomes available, and they might look at that again in the summer if it goes off back to Italy, for example. So I would say two. Probably left-sided players. How good they're going to be, history would tell us that. Obviously, under Daniel Levy, that's the thing. We did spend money, we just didn't spend it wisely a lot of the time. So it's going to be interesting to see what ENIC do. I can't really answer the question. My head's saying they won't. My heart's saying they will. That's all the answers I've got for you on that one, I think, for now.
Ricky, I suppose it is a bit of an unknown. We don't know what this new structure of the board will actually do and what their real ambitions are going forward as a football club. But I think it's very fair to say that if we want to be competing on all fronts, and this is a term that Daniel Levy used in the summer, Spurs want to be competing on all fronts, then, these transfer windows are highly important. And it's imperative that we go out and sign the players that we need, particularly in areas of the pitch, where we've got gaps.
Oh, absolutely, bro. But like you said there, we've said this many a time, right? We've said this many a time. So the positive thing is that with this sea of change up in the boardroom, with Daniel Levy out of the way, and with this 150 million supposedly sitting, burning a hole in their pocket, we're going to have to see what they come with, whether it's the same old, as we always know, or whether it's a little bit different. Now, does Paratici leaving, does that put a spanner in the works, or is that a convenient excuse of why and how difficult it is to buy in January? I don't know, but it's down to them now. They've got the opportunity to show us what change is. They've got the opportunity to show us fans how ambitious they are. And, they've got an opportunity to show us that they can see the gaps in the side that we see too, that we've seen for season on season, and that they're going to go out there to do the best that they can do and drop some, not just it's the transfer fee, but it's the wages as well, to get the top boys in. So it's an opportunity for them. And they love, Tottenham love opportunities, don't they? That's what I thought he was going to say, Chris. We'll see what happens in January, but we'll wait for the right opportunity. Because how many times we heard that? So this is your opportunity, Tottenham Hotspur, as a club, as a new board. This is your opportunity, Thomas Frank, to show us what you're about here in picking a player. Because if I look at the style of football at Tottenham, I don't care what's happening at Brentford or what he's done before. When I'm speaking today, at Tottenham, I don't know. I don't know what a Thomas Frank player is, and if the performances are anything to judge by, I don't know whether I want a Thomas Frank player. I don't. So I'm 50-50 on everything right now, bro. I'm 50-50 on whether the club will act like, a big club and spend that money and do all the things that we want them to do. I'm 50-50 on whether the right targets are going to come in. And I'm 50-50 on whether Lang is the guy that's going to be able to make it all happen. I just don't know. I'm hoping, again, that's my word for that's my word for the episode, bro. It is I live in hope now of Tottenham. I can't believe in anything. I can't hang my hat on anything. And I'm sorry if that sounds like defeatist or negative. I'm just telling you how I feel. Do you know what I mean? I can only tell you how I feel. We can pull positives and we can highlight positives, but it's just the way that I feel right now, you know, with the management side and the tactics, and it's the tactics that really do me, you know, when you look at a side that goes out there and with a game plan that is horrendous, it takes it out of you. And then, like Si said earlier, you know, when it comes down to what is Thomas Frank ball, well, we're seeing it. You know, no shots on target in the first half and all of that, and you know, set piece FC. I mean, so I just don't know right now, Chris. I don't know what's happening. I want it to be better. I want to stop moaning. I want to carry on smiling and cracking some jokes with you guys, honestly. But it's almost like I've got that haze on me now. Like ever since Gooners and Chelsea, it's done something to me. Do you know what I mean? Where I've got this haze where all I'm seeing is the negative things, and the negatives keep flashing and popping out at me. It's stronger than the positives right now. So I really don't know where I am. I'm here to listen to you boys, and hopefully you can help me, because I really don't know where we are anymore right now.
It's a funny one, Ricky, because, you know, we recorded a number of really tough podcasts, particularly after 22 league defeats under Ange last season, and you always remain positive to the end of Ange's time at Spurs. Of course, it did end in glory, winning the Europa League, and you were often called over positive on this channel. There's a couple of comments in the chat now saying that you're being negative now. But you can't help how you feel.
Listen,
you can't help
I can't please every single Tottenham fan with a comment, because then I'd just be a robot, and you might as well get ChatGPT to do it. You know, I can only tell you how I feel, and you know, you guys know me. If you've watched the show long enough, you guys know me. When I see something that I feel is positive, or I feel that there's something we can hang on to, or if I feel that there's something that I can highlight to show to all the fans who are being negative at the time, that there's the light at the end of the tunnel, I will do it, you know, because that's how I live life anyway. But I can only tell you how I feel when I see what we're seeing. What you're hearing today is the most positive I've been in weeks.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm trying. I swear to you, I am trying. And some fans might think it's because I wanted Ange to stay and he's not here, so I'm just going to, you know, like just muddy the waters with Frank. That is not the case whatsoever. If you're going to sack him, great, but I wanted us to take us higher. So, you know, you know, Craig and Chris will tell you in the WhatsApps, I'm like, don't talk to me about Thomas Frank. Talk to me about, you know, Xavi. Talk to me about Luis Enrique. Talk to me about Kompany. Talk to me about Xabi Alonso, because they're the best of the best. And I know it's very unlikely that we was going to get those particular managers. But that's what I'm saying. That's where my ambition is. Go get the best of the best that play the way that we want to play. You know. So I was there, but I can't. He's given me nothing. Like Frank has given me nothing. So I don't even really want to speak about it. Like speak about him like that, because I've already I already don't believe him. So until you show me something that I can believe in, I'm gonna do. And by the way, this whole caretaker like mentality, this was given to me by my boy Darren Hart on T-Talk on Tottenham. Quick plug. But it was him that gave it to me, because I was losing it. I was going mad. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, but Dow, you know, he came in to get the defence going, and we're leaking goals. What about the set pieces? Now that's gone off the cliff. I was going, you know, we started with physicality. Where's that? So everything, you know, so he gave it to me. And it was almost like, all right, cool. If you think about it like a caretaker, then maybe that can get you through. And that's what I'm trying to do, to be positive, or as positive as I might be, maybe not, I don't know. But that's what I'm trying to do here, you know.
Chris, can I
tell you how I feel.
Can I make a point about this as well? I don't think any Spurs fan, particularly the three others that are staring at the screen other than me here, were the ones who sat down and said we want to compete on all fronts. I don't think we didn't turn around and say we're going to use the Europa League as a springboard for greater things. So if the board are going to set those expectations, they need to pick managers and players and everything else that deliver on those words. Simple as that for me.
Well, I am trying to get some sort of positivity out of the three of you. It's pretty tough today. DLR Music and Sampling says here, seems very negative today. Usually come here because of the balance. Yes, it's a very difficult season again, but we just won today. Can we keep our heads up? Let's see if we can get one or two decent players in January. And Beast of TH says here, Craig looks as miserable as Si. So,
no, but you know what it is? You're right.
That's just it. That's it. Yeah.
Positives.
That's just it, though. You can't. It's. What am I trying to say? Ricky at the nail on the head. You can't. I'm not going to come on here and lie about how I feel just for clicks or just because I want to make people happy. Because look at us, we won a game. I think a lot of people in the chat feel like we are feeling at the moment. To be honest with you, they are. There's few and far between. But I haven't heard one person tell me what Thomas Frank has improved in this team, other than you could argue set pieces. What from open play what one player's improved, and why should we believe in him and give him more time? Have you not seen enough to see that, okay, fine, what direction is this going in? It's like Ricky said, what direction is this going in? Give us something to hold on to. Because I don't want to come on here every week and berate the manager. I want Thomas Frank to be successful. I want him to succeed. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I? I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm not one of these Spurs fans that wants to see us lose just so the manager gets his marching orders. People have got me wrong if that's what you think. It's not that at all. And there's a load of people in the chat saying almost exactly the same thing. You just want something to hold on to. And there's a comment there, I'm numb watching this team, from Jason. Absolutely. That's exactly how I feel. Numb. Absolutely numb with it, because I don't hate Thomas Frank. You know, I've said jokingly before, I don't like the manager. I don't hate Thomas Frank as a person. I just don't like the football we're seeing week in, week out. That's the thing. And there's a difference.
I knew you'd bite on that comment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's it. Absolutely. Because people, if people think that's what I'm like and what Ricky's like and Sire, it's not. We're not. It's not. We're just saying it as we see it, and I think a lot of people see it the way we see it. That's nothing else you can say on it.
Yeah, I can confirm that Craig is quite miserable in real life as well. Craig, let's stay with you, because let's go in on the 18th minute of the game today. Richarlison thought he'd put Spurs 1-0 up. He was celebrating. The away end was celebrating. Bergvall to Pedro Porro. Porro put the ball in. Richarlison with a good finish. What did you make of Richarlison's performance today?
I actually thought Richie, and as I said, you know, he's had a fair bit of stick on this channel. I thought Richarlison battled well today, actually, and thankfully he didn't take his shirt off and get booked. You know, because we've seen that before. I think he was okay today, Richarlison. On another day, he could have had a hat-trick, definitely. I don't think he should have been offside, actually. I think the first one where it was disallowed, I think it was, help me out, Bergvall was offside, wasn't he? I think if Bergvall had actually been on, I think Richarlison would have been off anyway. The second one, he was off, as we know. Doesn't need to be offside. It's a bit frustrating when you see a striker. It's like, I always used to love Jermaine Defoe, and the amount of time Defoe was offside, it got a bit frustrating. But the thing is, I do like to see my centre forward in those positions, because at least you're in the right place, and that's where you want Richarlison, in those areas. So sometimes you're going to go for you, sometimes they're going to go against you. But I didn't think Richarlison was bad today. I thought he was quite good actually today, Richarlison, to be fair to him.
Ricky, let's come to you. After 21 minutes, Crystal Palace had a shot. Mateta shooting just wide from 20 yards. 3 minutes later, another long-range shot from Crystal Palace, this time over the bar. Another 3 minutes later, Mateta heading over the bar. And then on the 29th minute, another chance for Crystal Palace, this time easy for Vicario. What did you make of Palace today? Because they didn't really threaten our goal today. Vicario, I think it's fair to say, didn't really have a lot to do. Were you surprised by Crystal Palace, particularly at home? And Oliver Glasner, this is their third defeat on the spin, having lost to Manchester City, Leeds, now Spurs. This is quite surprising for an Oliver Glasner side.
Yeah, but to be fair to them, I thought they was unlucky. They could have scored 2-3 in the first half. They got in many a time. They got in easy. There was times that Mateta was putting balls, through balls in for the left or right winger, and they were just skinning Danzo at times and just getting in on goal. So they had the opportunities. Even when Nketiah came on in the second half, they were the one that looked more dangerous. I mean, I can't remember what the stats were from the beginning of the show, but it looked like they had more possession overall, and they had more shots on target, and they had more opportunities at goal. There you go. 15 shots they've had, 2 on target for them, but it felt like they were in the ascendancy, and we've had 8 shots with 4 on target. So look, I mean, there were times that we came back, but I just felt like Palace were unlucky, and you've got to look at their situation as well. They've got a lot of players that have gone to AFCON, and they've had their injuries as well, and they're dealing with Europe as well. So they had their own problems, but I felt that we made them look good at times, because there was just times that I just felt we were just strung about a bit. I felt there was times we went through the motions, like trying the same pattern, and then it resulting in the same thing, which would either be Kudus running up and getting the ball off, the Palace player getting the ball off him, running back, or it was Spence up the left-hand side. So, Colo had a bit of an up and down one today. There was some bright sparks, but on the left, I just didn't think he looked super dangerous. So, when you look at it really and truly, I think Palace were unlucky. They need a killer instinct, or if they had somebody with a killer instinct in the box, I think that they probably would have been 2 goals up, and then we would have had to come back and show our character again to try and get back into the game. But that didn't happen. We were lucky. We were lucky in that sense that didn't happen, and luckily we could pull something out of the bag. But on Glasner, I think he's a good coach. I wouldn't like to see him at Tottenham, just for the pure fact of a back 3, because I'm kind of over a back 3. Like starting games with a back 3, I'm over it. I'm just over it. I'm just over it. It's great as a tactic, maybe, but I'm just over that. So that's my thing with Glasner. But I think for Palace, they should hold on to him. He's a good fit for them. They should put their hands in their pockets and start giving him what he needs, and start backing him, and maybe Palace could go on, because like Craig said, they do have some good patterns of play. They do have some good players there, and they've got a more positive springboard to jump off, especially after all of their success of last season, winning the trophy and stuff. So yeah, I think they can feel like they were unlucky tonight. Even though we had 2 offside goals. So, yeah, I do see Glasner getting it back on track. I think that they probably need a little bit of a break with the amount of games that they've played this year. So, yeah, give it a little bit of time for Glasner. I think him and Crystal Palace will get it back on track.
So let's come to you. A couple of groans from the away end. Now, Spence gave the ball away on 35 minutes. A complete mix-up, really, in defence. And then it resulted in Crystal Palace having a shot of Vicario straight at him. 2 minutes later, Pedro Porro shot over the bar. It actually went into the top tier of the stand. And then the third groan, within the matter of 5 minutes, was a good move, actually. Spence to Bentancur, up to Bergvall, and then Bergvall played a disappointing ball through. I think it was meant for Richarlison, but it was nowhere near him. What did you make of Spurs defensively today and in transition to the forward players?
Defensively, I think we were okay. I think the problems that Spence had, and the chance you mentioned, is that because he's right-footed, he's always looking infield, and he hasn't got the option of belting it down the line every now and again that a new doggy has, or if he's on the right-hand side. So I think that impacts on the way that he plays. The transition in the first half, to me, was awful. I just thought it was dreadful. But what I did when we made the changes in the second half, I thought the transition was much better. But that was because you had pacey ball carriers on Odebear particularly, but I thought Johnson was quite penetrative when he came on. But I don't think we were good in the first half whatsoever. You know, and to turn around at half time 1-0 up from set piece FC, I think was quite fortunate, albeit, you know, I don't really remember Vic having to make any serious saves. So yeah, I think that this attacking link, and with the players that we've got, it's just not dynamic enough. I don't think there's enough creativity there. And I did think that the creativity lifted up when Odebear came on, which tells you what you need to know about Kolo Muani and the way Richie were not linking up in the first half.
Craig, let's come to you. Let's come to talk about the only goal of the game in the 42nd minute. Archie Gray's first goal in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt turned out to be the winner. It was from a set piece. Now, interestingly, 6 of the 9 Premier League goals that Crystal Palace have conceded in December have been from set pieces, and that is 6 in a row, actually. And Archie Gray, his first Spurs goal, youngest English player, 19 years old, 291 days old, to score for Tottenham in the Premier League since Dele Alli. And that was in January 2016. He was 19 years, 287 days old. And funny enough, that was against Crystal Palace as well. What did you make of the goal itself from Archie Gray?
I actually said to my son, actually, as Porro was swinging the corner over, we're actually going to score it. Probably more in hope than anything tactical, but it was a really good corner in, deep corner, really good leap at the far post by Kolo Muani, great flick back by Richarlison into a dangerous area, and Gray just had the goal gaping, and I was totally unmarked there to just nod in. Really, really good for Archie Gray. Really pleased to see him grab his goal for Spurs. Hopefully, that's the first of many. Thought Richarlison again was in the right place to flick on. That's what we want to see him doing. That's obviously something they've worked on, the deep corner to the back post. All the players start at the back and then run into their respective areas. And they're doing Kolo Muani quite tall there, winning the header really well, getting up and nodding back in. So if you're talking purely about set-piece goals, that was a really good set-piece goal. I'm sure the set-piece coach will be very pleased with that one and the way it's come off. So everybody seemed to do their job. Really well worked goal, Chris.
Craig, how impressed have you been with Archie Gray? Because today his stats: 100% successful dribbles, 100% successful crosses, 3 passes into the final third, 3 touches inside the opposition box today, 8 defensive contributions, 4 clearances, 2 ball recoveries, and 1 out of 2 duels won today. What have you made of him lately in a Spurs shirt and today's performance?
Yeah, I thought he was good today. Some people were saying that he did lose possession. I wouldn't say that he was man of the match today, but I thought he was very good. Really good to see. Look, a young player still. Really good to see him getting more minutes under Frank. It's only over the last month or so we've seen Archie Gray coming into the starting 11. Good to see him starting in the midfield. Yes, we know he can play right back, left back. He seems to have played everywhere across the middle and defensive line. But I think it's important that he gets into a position and tries to make the position his own. They obviously see him perhaps as that number 6, even though I think he could definitely do a job as a number 8 box to box as well. He's young, energetic, full of energy. Likes to tackle as well. So I think Archie Gray, again, as I say, so young, I think he's one of the players that he's going to come even better in years to come for Tottenham. So, big price tag for a young man as well. Hopefully that won't be weighing too heavily on him. We shouldn't really expect too much from Archie Gray because of his age. But I think he did well today. Absolutely.
Chris, before we come off Archie Gray, people are looking for positives from us. That boy has got a beautiful smile. Oh, my God. When he scored that goal and I saw his smile, I nearly turned.
Ricky, let's come to you. Craig mentioned about Cowlin Mawani. Craig mentioned about Cowlin Mawani. You know, a big part that he had to play in the only goal of the game. Archie Gray, of course, getting the winner. What have you made of him in a Spurs shirt? What do you make of his performance today? And do you think that Spurs will end up signing him on a permanent deal?
Okay, so I mean, he had a really pivotal part in the goal, getting on at the back stick and getting that flick on for Richie to then flick it on for Archie to then put it away. That's a tactic that we've seen time and time again with Frank. That's definitely something that we can see that they've worked on, which is getting them corners to the back stick to get those potential goal opportunities. So it was good to see again today. Colo, I think. Look, I'm always cautious of new players coming into Tottenham, because there's one thing seeing them wherever they were playing before Tottenham, and then there's another thing seeing them in the Tottenham top. So I'm always cautious. So with Colo, I think he's got a hell of a lot that we need in a striker. Can run him behind, good head, both feet, can dribble, can hold it up, can link play. Right, he's got all of the things that we're asking for in a striker, but is it going to click in a Tottenham top? We've seen flashes, we've seen moments, and we do know, to his credit, that he didn't have no pre-season, and for a player that never got injured, gets injured at Tottenham, of course he does, and you know, that dead leg took him out for a long time, and we forget it was a dead leg. I did find out a little while after that, because I was wondering why it was taking so long. But there was actually a player, and I can't remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? But there was a player in Germany that actually got a dead leg, and he ended his footballing career. So they can be serious things. So yeah, that took him out, and then he came back in, started to get a little bit of rhythm, and then he had another knock which took him out with the jaw and stuff, you know. So we're still kind of waiting for it to all come together, but there's definitely flashes in there. Will we make it permanent? I really don't know. But like I say, with any player on loan at Tottenham, it's up to you. This is almost an open audition. You can see that there's a gap there, in the sense that we're looking for we are looking at centre forwards, and you could be that man in the Premier League for Tottenham Hotspur. Do you want to make that shirt yours? And he's getting opportunities, he's getting minutes, so now he's got to show us. Fingers crossed he starts to get a few more minutes up front, like in the number 9 role, so we can see what he's about there. Because you know, what was it, Champions League, where he scored the 2 goals, you can tell, like, once he's on form, he could be dynamite. He could be absolutely dynamite, but it's up to him. We need to see it. And it's tough as well in this side right now, because as Craig knows, as the statistician, I say statistician, Craig, but you always read out the stats normally. But the amount of shots that we've had on goal, the amount of attacking opportunities that we've had, the amount of shots leading to a save, it's been very, very low. So even when he has played up front, we haven't got the ball up to him, or we haven't created an opportunity, or we've been in this roller coaster of upheaval where we can't get no cohesion going throughout the side, from defence to midfield to up front. So it's been such a mixed pot of awkwardness going on that we still haven't galvanized. We still haven't solidified. We still haven't worked as a unit. We still haven't clicked. We've seen moments. We've clicked along to the song, but not the whole album. Do you know what I mean? So there's still a lot of work to do. So it's really tough to judge Colo at this point. All I would say, Chris, is what I just said there. It's up to him to prove it. It's up to him to grab that shirt. It's up to him to show us that he wants to be at Tottenham and he wants to be the main man. And I guarantee you, me, you, Craig, Si, and everyone around the ground and everyone around the world will all be shouting for him and the club to be signed permanently. So it's up to you, Colo. Show us what you're about, sunshine. Start showing us that Juventus form. Start showing us that Frankfurt form. it could be dynamite. It could be dynamite, but it's up to you, bro. It's up to you. And then it does come down to, Chris, just to wrap up, it does come down to what messages are these players being sent out there with, you know? Are we playing to his strengths? It's a question. I don't know.
So let's come to you. In the first 20 minutes or so of the second half, it's fair to say that Crystal Palace had a handful of chances. In 48th minute, shot deflected over the bar. On 56 minutes, they had another chance that went over the bar. Then Thomas Frank made it a double change. Bergvall going off injured, Cowlin going off, João Palhinha and Wilson Odobert coming on. On 67 minutes, Palace whizzed a ball across from the left-hand side. It just didn't go near anyone, luckily for us. And then 3 minutes later, they had another glorious chance, which they missed, and it went past the post. Now, on 73 minutes, Wilson Odobert had a shot from 20 yards straight at the goalkeeper. We'll talk about some great Wilson Odobert moments in a minute, but what did you make of his overall performance today? Because when we talk about positives, surely Wilson Odobert and his performance was a real positive today.
Yeah, I said right at the start, I thought he looked really good when he came on. There is a player in there, that's for sure. And I think it's a bit like, I love the points about Archie Gray, but the reason Archie Gray was more effective today is that he's played 4 games in a row. Now, the same with Wilson Odobert. If you want to get the best from him, you've got to give him 3 or 4 games in a row so that he develops his understandings with the players around him and what the team's trying to do. But yeah, look, he's creative, he's exciting. The shot where he hit the post was a great effort, and he also caused some other problems for Palace because he was pushing their right hand, their right back and their right hand, one of their back 3. He was pushing them further wide and pushing them deeper, so he gave them a problem. And also, people don't look at it and miss these kind of things, but he was actually back helping Jed Spence out. On the other side, Brennan Johnson was back helping Pedro Porro out, and I don't think it was much of a surprise to me that the Palace, the period you spoke about, there was a lot going through Nketiah down our left-hand side. When Brennan Johnson comes on, we snuff that out because Brennan has that relationship with Pedro Porro and they kind of know what they're doing. So, yeah, I thought Wilson Odobert was really encouraging today. And, I would hope he will get a start against Brentford. I'm not sure he will, but I would hope he would. And I think that, he needs to build a relationship with whoever's going to be the left back. So it's going to be Udogie mostly or Spence, and he has to work with them game after game, session after session to build those relationships. And if we do that, we'll get more from him. But yeah, very encouraging.
Craig, on Wilson Odobert, do you think that he is the player that can grab that opportunity of playing and starting for Spurs week in, week out on that left-hand side? Because, ever since Heung-min Son has gone off to LAFC, that there is an opportunity for a player to either grab that opportunity or Spurs go out in the January transfer window or indeed the summer transfer window and finally replace Heung-min Son. Is Wilson Odobert good enough to step into that spot and be a regular starter? You're on mute again.
Sorry, it's Christmas. Of all the players, I always thought there's something in Wilson Odobert. And today he did show he's got something about him. As I say, he always looks better when he comes on for me. He's just something a bit different, running at tired defenders. And there was no doubt Crystal Palace, after their schedule of late, they looked a bit leggy and a bit tired towards the end. And it's perfect to bring somebody like Wilson Odobert on and run at those defenders. So whether he's good enough for what Spurs need, I still don't know. I still expect Spurs to go out in the January transfer window and try and bring in somebody to play on that left side. But I certainly think Odobert should be in the conversation. I just think we haven't seen enough consistency from Odobert to say that yes, he is the Sonny replacement. Look, you're trying to replace Heung-min Son, and that's not easy at all, because we're always going to compare him to Heung-min Son, which is difficult to do. So there's definitely something about Odegaard, 100%. But whether he's that player, I don't know. Having Craig on mute was a late Christmas present for me. Well, thanks, Neil.
That is the comment of the day. Neil, we should send you a prize for that. Email me. I'll send you something.
Ban Neil from the chat, honestly.
Chris, can I come back on the Odegaard point? I don't think he is the Sonny heir apparent, but I do think that in rotation with another player, he's competent enough to be our rotation in that position. That's my view. And like Craig said, whether you start him in certain games and not in others, I think he's good enough to be the rotation, but I don't think he's the Heung-min Son level yet. He doesn't have the finishing. And then again, going back, he's only young. You know, we do forget this. He is only young. And in far as the Spurs career goes, he was out injured for quite a bit of last season, and we saw him in flashes, and he was half decent. And we've done the same again this season. We've seen flashes that are half decent. And I still go back to my point that if you want him to develop, a bit like Archie Gray and Lucas Berval and whoever you want to do, they have to play. And I heard another interesting debate about someone saying, you know, we should bring in a player to play in the number 8 role, a more experienced player, and then we should be loaning out Gray, Berval, whomever. But that doesn't develop them for Tottenham. And will we know whether they can ever do it at Tottenham if we take them out of the Tottenham environment? So I'm not in favour of that, and I'm pretty much the same with Odegaard. If you want to go and get a decent left winger, great, but don't kick Odegaard out. Keep him there and let him hopefully learn and develop with a player in that position himself.
So I think that's a great point about you saying about such a young squad that we have got, and I think a lot of people, a lot of Spurs fans, a lot of the time forget how young this squad is and how much growth that they do have. The next couple of years do look exciting for Tottenham with the amount of young, talented players that we do have in this squad. It's just about getting the best out of them and their development and moving forward. The game time. I love the fact that Archie Gray is now getting that time and grabbing the opportunity, getting the winning goal today. I think there's a lot more positives than people are probably saying today.
Yeah,
but also, you've got to remember, there's definitely that. Look, and they will learn, and it's all good experience for them. And everybody forgets. I've heard people saying, let's cash in on Dragusin at the moment. He's 23. He's a baby. In footballing terms, he's an absolute baby. He's a beast of a bloke, but an absolute baby. And I don't think that, if you can keep this team together and sprinkle in a few experienced players at the moment to get them over the tough games, to get us through the times when it's hard, and to improve the first team. I do agree with Thomas Frank on that point. You need improvements that are going to go straight in the team. Then we have got a good future, and that's not even counting the Williams, Barnett and Mikey Moore and what they might do in the future. But we just got to keep the faith.
Craig, let's come back to you. On 77 minutes, Richarlison thought he'd put Spurs 2-0 up. And of course, this one was chalked off again. Do you want to talk us through this goal, or disallowed goal?
Well, he was offside. Basically, he was offside. He went too early, and that was it. What can I say about it? It was a good finish. But he was offside, so it didn't count, did it? I mean, he was in. I'll come back to it. He was in the right place at the right time, and that's all you can ask about your centre forward. That's what I want to see him doing more of.
It was
Richarlison's our top scorer this year.
It was a wonderful delivery, though, Craig, wasn't it? And it was a really good finish because, so many times on this podcast, particularly in the last month or so, we've spoken about the lack of attacking intent. But this was such a good move from Tottenham.
It really was, yeah, and it was. I wouldn't say we were up against it at large periods of that second half. To be honest with you, we were. When you looked at the stats and the possession that Palace had, I just think they ran out of steam, and we capitalised on that. Well, we didn't actually get the second, did we? But we were certainly going forward a fair bit more. As you say, great delivery in, good finish from Richarlison. And then obviously I think you'll come on to it. I think it was around then, you might have said it already. Odegaard hit the post as well, which was great to see us shooting from distance. I want to see more of that, but Thomas Frank doesn't seem to like that, which I don't understand at all. We could have won it 3 or 4-0. We won it 1-0. We also could have lost it 3-1, 4-1, which is one of those bizarre things, isn't it? But yeah, it was, what can I say? It was offside ultimately. So never mind.
Ricky, let's come to you. Crystal Palace had another chance in the 78th minute. Header over the bar again from a corner. 2 minutes later, Pedro Porro with a really poor delivery into the box, high and wide. A minute later, Richarlison threw on goal, shoots straight at the goalkeeper, which was disappointing. On 85 minutes, Mohamed Kudus and Gray went off. Radu Dragushin returns for Tottenham, and Brennan Johnson also came on. The crowd was singing for Brennan Johnson, but great to have Radu Dragushin back. I know Sire mentioned it there. He could possibly be off in this January window, or indeed the summer window, because where is the game time coming from? This is a player that joined Spurs wanting to be a starting player week after week. He's had a tough time. He's had a tough spell in his Spurs career. Where do you see Radu Dragushin's future?
I mean, again, he's just come off an ACL, Chris. So first and foremost, it's just positive to get him back on the field. What I really did enjoy seeing was how much it meant to him being back on the field, how much he wanted to be back on the field. And when he went to celebrate with the fans at the end, you could tell that he needed that and he wanted that. And when you work hard, not just for yourself, but for Tottenham, I've got a love for you then. Do you know what I mean? And you can see how hard he's worked to get back into the side and to get back onto the bench first and foremost. So that's a massive, massive step for Radu to do that. And it takes a lot of mental willpower to get through, as he's been helping Madders get through his ACL as well. So just him being back on the field is a massive positive. Now, where does his future lie? Let's get him a few games first. Let's figure it out. We don't know. Again, it's another we don't know, bro. It's another up in the air type of thing. As Sai said, he's still young. He's a beast of a guy. It was obvious that Angeball didn't play towards Radu's strongest strength, but I don't know whether Frank Ball does. Who knows yet? And I don't foresee him going in January. If he is going to go, he's probably going to go at the in the summer, but again, it's up to him right now. We know that we've got young Vuskovic doing amazing things out in Hamburg, and we need to create some space for him as well. Danzo has been doing good for us as a deputy ever since he's turned up. What was that? Last January he turned up, wasn't it? So ever since he's turned up, he's done really, really well whenever he's come in. Not like a world beater, but really well. So Danzo's there. So now Dragshin's back. He's going to have to fight Danzo to be centre-back number 3 and try and get some game time in there. And then when he does get the opportunity, show us why he wants first-team football. Show us why he's the man. Show us why he should be considered for first team, the starting 11. It's up to him. But we've got two really... I love our centre-backs. I love Romero and Mickey van der Ven as our centre-backs. That's tough competition you're coming up against. You've got, the rapid Mickey van der Ven, and then you've got the World Cup winner in Romero. So that's tough competition. But that doesn't mean that it's over and out for him. It's up to him. It's up to him to learn, to grow, to build on the strengths that he's already, that's already brought him to getting on the field tonight, and to push on. but there's competition wherever you go. Nothing's guaranteed in life, and his agent does what his agent's supposed to do, which is talk. Chris, that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to get his name in papers. He's supposed to get his name and his player in the minds of managers and sporting directors around the world. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's supposed to do. So let's see with Radu. I think if we're talking about anyone to loan, that might be a good thing, because we could get him some regular minutes, maybe. But let's just get him back on the field. Let's just get him back up to speed, and let's see where we go from there. And he looks like a player that is up for the fight. So let's see. Don't take any notice of what the agent says. The agent's just doing what he's paid to do. Let's focus on what we see and what he can bring to Tottenham Hotspur.
Ricky, talking about the positives, certainly in this last 10 minutes of today's game, beating Crystal Palace 1-0, because we've spoken a lot in the last couple of months about our attacking intent, about XG, about chances created, about shots on target, etc. It only looked like Spurs were going to score in this last 10 minutes of the game at Selhurst Park, because Odegaard, like Craig mentioned a minute ago, Odegaard, great shot against the post, very unlucky not to score in the 88th minute. And then a minute later, Brennan Johnson, he should have shot, in my opinion. He chose to cross the ball, no one there. A minute later, very similar situation, Johnson, he should have shot. 7 minutes of added time. Bentancur then forced a good save from the goalkeeper after Odegaard's cross originally. But that attacking intent, I see that as a real big positive today, because we've spoken on here so many times about the lack of attacking intent and the lack of shots on target. So you've got to see that as a positive today. Spurs should have probably scored a lot more than one today.
Yeah, absolutely, and a great indictment of how to use your subs. Especially when you've got that squad. You know, if Kudus ain't doing it, or if he's being doubled up on, and then you can bring on somebody who's a different profile, pacier, a bit of a runner, one that's trying to put the ball in the box for the guy running at the back stick, or you've got a dribbler and a trickster in Odegaard, who's also very pacey, who's a totally different tricky winger to what Colo's bringing to the field. So that's a really good sign of how to use the subs on the bench to affect the game and to get something else out of us, to change it up a little bit. That was definitely a positive sign, and that's something that, again, we need to start building on and growing with going forward. That's why of all of the moaning that I've been doing on this show today, it was, to go back to what we said right at the beginning, it is stupidly important that we got that win today, that we end the year with a win. We start the new year with 3 points on the board, and with a little bit of positivity going into that January period. Now, we know what it's going to go. I say we know, but we know that Frank knows Brentford inside out. So let's see what happens there. Maybe we can get on a run and get a couple of results back to back, and then who knows what, it can change at any time at Tottenham. We're used to this turbulent Tottenham. We're used to going through the madness to get to the glory. So maybe this is one of those moments. And I'm really hoping, again, that all of this form and the style of play and all of that, I'm really hoping that all that pain that we've gone through is for a reason, and that we see that reason in 2026. That this was just finding his philosophy, the boys finding their feet, taking on all the technical instructions that the manager's trying to instill in them. Like, hopefully we've gone through this this period of struggle, so that we can see what the fruits of this labor is come 2026. But again, Chris, it's all about those positives. It's all about those things, seeing it week in, week out. Yeah. And building on those things. So again, it's just great to get those 3 points for Frank, the boys, and so that we can talk a bit positive as well, moving forward. So fingers crossed, this is the hope that we need moving forward, and something that we can kind of springboard off.
You're absolutely right, though, Ricky. In football, it could only take like a week or two of, a win today, a win against Brentford on New Year's Day, an early signing in the January transfer window, and everyone or most people will be feeling optimistic again. I don't know about Craig, but most people could be optimistic again. So finally on the game itself, there was a lot of love, and I mean a lot of love for Kevin Danso throughout the 90 minutes, particularly at the final whistle. What did you make of his performance today? Because he seems to be a player whenever either Van der Ven or Romero are not there for whatever reason, he always comes in and gets the job done.
Yeah, he's really, really dependable. He's really considered. Look, it took him the first 20 minutes to work out how he was going to handle Mateta, because Mateta was his best period was the first 20 minutes of the game, in my opinion. But once Danzo got him sussed out how he was going to deal with him, how he's going to handle him, then I don't think Mateta did that much after that point onwards. Look, he plays with his heart. He plays with his head. And I think he gets what it means to the fans, why we love our clubs. I think he's been loved. I could be wrong here, by every fan set that he's played at, and nobody's got a bad word to say about him. And then to boot on top of that, I don't know if you've seen some of the charity stuff he does. He's just an incredible human being, and he's clever guy as well. Speaks more languages than we can even consider, and he's just a considered player that's an able deputy for Romero when he has his bozo moments. And I just think that if if Romero was out for a long period, you wouldn't get stellar performances from Danso, but neither do I think he'd ever let you down. So I think he was a good signing.
Right. Final question for you all. Now, as we've already said, that was our final game of 2025. Let's hope that we can go into 2026, off with a win away at Brentford. Thomas Frank going back to his old club. Of course, we beat Brentford 2-0 only a couple of weeks ago at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which seemed a pretty easy routine win. And I must say that, the only negative that day was Spurs only scored 2. It should have been a lot more. But this game, I feel, is going to be a lot more difficult. Craig, let's start with you. Now, going into this game, Spurs are 11th, 25 points from 18 games. And Brentford have a point more. They're in 26 points from 18 games. Thomas Frank's return to the G-Tech Community Stadium. How do you see this one going?
I don't know. I actually think, I think we got a pretty decent record against Brentford. And if there is any man on this planet that will know Brentford better than anyone, it's going to be Thomas Frank, even though they've got a new manager. So I would actually expect us to win this game, to be honest with you. I would expect the lion's share of possession. Don't look so fucking surprised. I would actually expect us to be winning this. I think it's going to be a tough game. I do. They're going to want to beat him on his old patch, so to speak. So I'm going to stick my neck out. I'm going to say I think we're going to win 2-0, but I think it's going to be a real battling performance again. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game to watch. But you're right. When we played them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, they were very poor. I thought we played well that day. Professional performance, I think it's going to be a bit different. But as I said in the chat there, Brentford just battered Bournemouth. So you just never know what you're going to get with Bournemouth. You don't know what you're going to get with Bournemouth, actually, but you don't know what you're going to get with Brentford. So, I'm going to go for a win.
Craig, are you all right, or have some of these comments rattled you tonight?
No. It's just, I want to say so much, but I think we get taken off air, to be honest with you. So I'm just simmering. I have so much I want to say that I'm going to keep it for under wraps for a little while. But I think a lot of people in the chat have just said what I'm thinking, what a lot of us thinking actually.
Craig, Craig, with the games though in January, games are going to be coming thick and fast. We've got games in the Premier League, Champions League matches, Dortmund and Frankfurt away. Of course, we've got that FA Cup home game as well against Aston Villa. Thomas Frank is really going to have to use the entire squad, but if Lucas Bergvall is out for some time, that's going to cause us a few issues. Of course, Javi Simmons is, of course, missing the next couple of games. Romero will be back for the Brentford game. More rotation in this Brentford game on the 1st of Jan?
I think he has to. Whether he starts Dragushin, I don't know. I mean, Mickey van der Ven is going to have a rest at some point. You would think. We all know what his hamstring's going to be like. We don't want to overplay van der Ven. Wouldn't be surprised, actually, saying that, to see if they think Dragushin is fit. Do we rest Mickey? Possibly. There's got to be rotation. What I would say going into January, and I don't think any of us was ecstatic about drawing Villa in the FA Cup. Villa are genuinely, I think you've got to say, genuinely in the title race. People would probably laugh at that after their start to the season, but you don't win 11 games on the bounce. God, I hope it's 12, because I think they've got Arsenal next. Come on, Villa, please make it 12 wins in a row. I mean, that's a club record for Villa right there. So you have to say what a performance their squad's putting in. Unai Emery absolutely getting the best out of those players. I mean, pound for pound, have Villa got a better squad than Tottenham? People can answer that. You'd have to say they probably have, because they're doing so well. But is that down to the manager actually getting the best out of his squad? 100% for me. They're playing so well. But is their priorities going to be on the league? So it could well be. So we might get a bit of respite there. We could get a bit of a surprise, because you'd have to say if Spurs beat Villa in the FA Cup, that would be a mini surprise. It certainly would be for me at the moment. But there's going to be rotation. There's going to be rotation 100%. So starting at Brentford, as you say, the game's coming thick and fast. We've got Bournemouth just around the corner as well. So he's going to have to use the squad, definitely.
Ricky, how are you feeling ahead of the Brentford away game on the 1st of Jan? Are Spurs going to be starting 2026 off with a win?
Yeah, man. You know me. It doesn't matter. Even in the hardest times, when it comes down to the predictions, I always say a win. I can never say anything other than that. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the form says. But yeah, like Craig said, Frank's back at his old team, and they're going to be motivated to put one over on us, because it's only a couple of weeks ago that we done it to them. But it's time for us to double down. It's time for Frank to show us what we're about in that sense as well. When it comes down to Xavi, just a little thing. Just remember that we can play Kudus in the 10 and on the left. He is that type of player. He doesn't have to stay. I'm saying this to Frank, just in case you forgot. He doesn't have to stay on the right-hand side. You could chuck him in the 10, play Johnson on the right, play Odebear on the left, for instance. And then you've still got a sense of creativity coming from the middle of the park. But there are ways and means. It's just about that overlap and that rotation. The Brentford game, the previous Brentford game, was my favourite team game that I've seen from Tottenham. I felt as a team, top to bottom, we were all over them. We dominated, high press, really good attacking play in that, overlapping through balls. I think one or two of our 4 through balls for the whole season was against Brentford in that game. And it looked good. It looked good for a moment. So now's your opportunity, again, to jump on the back of this win, go out there and show us that it wasn't a one-off. It's going to be tough against Brentford at their house, but I feel that we've got all the tools and no excuses to go out there and get that win. When you talk about Bournemouth, Brentford, not knowing, which team's going to turn up, it's pretty much like that with Tottenham as well. When we're in the group chats, when I'm chatting to my friends, like, nobody knows what Tottenham's going to turn up either. So let's put this turbulent, terrible troublesome 2025 behind us, and let's go into 2026 showing them what we're about on the front foot. Let's see some change. I want to be saying good things about the manager and the team and the tactics and the way we approach games, so it's up to you, boys. Like I say, it's a new day, it's a new year, it's a new dawn. Go make it happen. And
it's a new life for me.
And I'm feeling good. And my prediction will be 3-1 Tottenham. 3-1 Tottenham. That's what I'm going with.
James Madison has just posted on Instagram of him and Brennan Johnson at Ali Pally this evening for the darts. Simon, how are you feeling about the Brentford game?
I think we'll win. I think it'll be another attritional 1-0. Because I just think that not having Xavi, that's why the game will be a little bit different to the way it was against Brentford, because I thought he dictated the way that we played in that game. I do think we'll win. And I want to remind everybody that for me, regardless of the losses, regardless of everything else, 2025 is always going to be a special Tottenham Hotspur year for me, because we conquered Europe again. I've seen it twice in my lifetime. It was magnificent. And for that, I will only ever thank the club all through the dark days that it puts me through. But I won't ever forget that we won the Europa League in that year. And look, I try and be a positive Spurs fan. I did call that win, Chris, as you will validate.
Yep.
And I think that, there are good days ahead for us, in the coming few years. And everybody says, it's all about jam and cream tomorrow and, bread and milk today. But I do think that we will get there. I just think that we need to make some smart decisions to both the coaching side of the team over time and the players, get the investment right. And I think there's bright days ahead for Tottenham, because we've got some brilliant players, we've got some brilliant young players, and I think if you can build from a platform like that, then I think there's good days ahead for us. So I do think we'll win. I don't think it will be pretty for this game, and I don't think it will be pretty for the Bournemouth game, because I think Xavi's missing that one as well. But hopefully we can get off to a good start, and surprisingly for Thomas Frank, have a player coming through the door pretty early in January that will give him the resources that he needs. And if we do that, then we'll all be happy, won't we?
Yeah, well said. Ricky and I actually spent an hour or so on a stream on Christmas Eve talking about 2025.
I listened to it. YouTube brought tears to my eyes, both with the memories of the final, but also some of the things you said that were hilarious. So I love that. I just got the image now of you two as Bill and Ben, the flower pot men.
Telling you, good time, Si. Good time. But you know what? I think that one of the biggest positives today that we didn't say as yet, Chris, was that away crowd that you was in, because I could hear them singing, rocking the whole way through, and to make noise and to make that amount of noise at Palace is
brilliant.
A feat in itself. I heard the Waka Waka song. I heard Johnson Ole Ole. I was. Listen, we've got some of the best fans in the damn world. Let me tell you now, Chris, you was a part of that. What was it like to be in the away end? What was it like to be amongst that singing? Even though the football might not have been exciting, but the energy that the away crowd brought today, I thought was phenomenal, off the charts.
Yeah, and you know what? We spoke about the Europa League victory, obviously, Ricky, the other night, and some of these league games, throughout the whole of the calendar year of 2025 have been really tough. But I tell you what, the fans are always with the team. They're always supporting the manager. They're always supporting, whether we're winning, losing, drawing matches, particularly the away support is unreal. So, we've got some of the best fans in the world, and, the support is just unreal. So, yeah, fair play to the away travelling support. And, I'm sure they'll be there again on the 1st of Jan, hoping that we will get off to a successful start in 2026. And, like I said earlier, all we need is a couple of wins, a couple of really positive moves in the January window, and suddenly a lot of the fan base will be feeling optimistic again, and that's how we want to be feeling about our great football club. Ricky, thank you so much for all what you've done on this channel during 2025, and I must say this, and I've not had a chance to actually do a proper video yet, but yesterday we did actually reach 200,000 subscribers on the channel, which is absolutely insane. It is honestly beyond the wildest dreams of numbers. This channel started completely by accident, and you and Craig, and I know Sire's become a real regular on here as well, but you and Craig for a number of years have been on here week after week, game after game, particularly when I mentioned about tough times, those 22 league defeats last season. You and Craig were always here. Sire, I know that you're now a real regular on this channel, and it's great to have you here on a regular basis. But yeah, 200,000 subscribers, unbelievable. So thank you for all you do, Ricky.
No, bless you, man. Bless you. Thank you for always having me on. Always an honor and a pleasure. And it's just great to, for me, it is therapy, and it is just great to have a community of people that can understand these rants. I can't give these rants to anybody else that is outside of Tottenham. They don't understand what we're talking about. Do you know what I mean? So bless you, man. Thank you for keeping me on as a regular guest. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be here with you beautiful people on the panel, and all of you beautiful people from around the world. Every time you stop and say a little something and ask for a picture or whatever, it's always with so much heart and love. So bless you, bless you, bless you. Let's keep it going. 200,000. Who would have thought, eh? Who would have thought? Just think that the Watford story was on 85 grand. It was on 85,000 people we was waiting for. And now we're at 200 grand, and nobody knows what I'm talking about when I mention Watford, which is great. So let's just keep it moving.
They know.
I was trying. But let's keep it moving, man. Let's keep it moving. Onto the road to 300,000. Let's do it, man. And let's just keep the energy going. Let's keep more pods, more analysis, more fan shows, more fans on the show. Like, it's just growing and growing and growing, and it's just beautiful to be a part of. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Si, and all you beautiful people around the world too, man.
Well, Ricky, Happy New Year to you. And Will writes here, great to hear from you all. Whether I agree or not, you guys are always there for us. And I tell you what, Will, I will say this. Sometimes people don't agree with what the panel or myself say about Spurs, but we all want the same thing. We all want Spurs to be successful. And they are only opinions at the end of the day. You can agree with them, disagree with them. And this is what these shows are around or about. But, if you do want to come on a future fan show, please do send me an email, tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. It'd be great to talk to you and great to hear from you. And Craig, I want to say a massive thank you to you, especially during 2025. I know we have a bit of banter on this show. You're not really miserable. You're one of the happiest people I know, and we share jokes every day. And I don't think people realise how much work you do on this channel, not only on screen but off screen as well. So a big heartfelt thank you to you.
Oh, that's nice of you to say, Chris. And it's it's been a blast. I think I've been doing it certainly since the COVID times when we first met you and that first stream we did, and then meeting Ricky and Si and everybody else and all the regulars. It's opened up new avenues, new friends, people we can moan at together. All the people, the regulars in the chat that might agree with me, disagree with me. Yeah, I'm really not this miserable in real life. I'm not. It's not an act. It's not an act at all coming on here. I'm not. I do quite like being the Roy Keys instead of the Spurs Chat podcast. I'll take that all day long. But it's as any Spurs fan, I'm 52, and as any Spurs fan will know, when you've been supporting Spurs this long, it does something to you and affects your personality. Talking about Tottenham, that is totally different, perhaps, from your normal personality. So I hope people know what I mean. But it's an absolute pleasure. Looking forward to what 2026 will bring. On the march to 250,000 next will be absolutely amazing. But it's always fun, more fun when we win, absolutely. But win, lose or draw, coming on here, talking about it, doing videos, whatever. So it's all good. Thanks for the opportunity. And just want to wish everybody a happy new year. I hope you've had a good Christmas. Thanks for all your support. And I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Craig. And
Brilliant.
Si, just want to say thank you to you as well, because you've become a big part of this channel now.
Bless you.
Producing your own videos now, and we're putting those out, as often as you produce them. So thank you so much for being a regular guest, and Happy New Year to you.
Oh, bless you, mate. I've loved being on, and like Craig summed it up. You just meet people, all around the place that are full of love, good people that love Spurs, and it's very heartening. I love the chats that go on, while we're on. And look, they are only opinions. You can agree with them, disagree with them. As long as we all do it respectfully, that's great. And
Yep.
I remember coming across this cheeky little chappie with his jaunty delivery about the Spurs stadium was where I first kind of hooked up with you, Chris, and your contents and the fact that it's gone over 200k is absolutely mind-blowing. And I do think, Craig said the march on to 250k. I think you'll go much further than that, mate, because it's just the enthusiasm that comes across from the guests and in the fan show, and the passion that's on show. Whether it's negative passion, positive passion, it doesn't matter. We're all united around one thing, and that is the enigma that is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. But once it's in your blood, you're never getting rid of it. So just strap in and enjoy the ride is all I'd say. And best wishes to everybody for a healthy 2026, if nothing else. Health is better. It means more to us than everything else. So I just wish love and happiness to everybody in the world.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Si. Thank you so much. Ricky, Craig, Si, thank you so much for joining me on this last post-match podcast of 2025. Let's look forward to many in 2026, and let's hope that we'll be talking about a lot more wins, especially home wins, in 2026 and 2025. But a big heartfelt thank you to every single subscriber for watching this channel, for listening on audio platforms. Your support is really, really appreciated. Happy New Year, everyone, and we will see you again very soon. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.